Action. What's going on, YouTube? Okay, we are back. First training video in a little bit here. So we're here at the Mecca Fitness FX, 70 Lacewood Drive, Halifax. If you're from here, you need to come here. So we're gonna go ahead and run through a back workout today. Back is a big muscle group that I've been working a lot on over the last year and a half. It's probably my weakest muscle group genetically. So I'll talk a little bit about some of the modifications that I've made over the last little bit to try to bring that up and to try to, work on improving that as a big body part that I want to present on stage. Aside from that, it's pretty chill today. It's like empty in here, which is, it's a good time of the day for filming. So it's going to be good vibes. We'll probably have like 5 to 6 movements we're going to go through. We'll talk a little bit about, prep, everything else as we start going through that. Nothing big is coming yet. In terms of like where I'm at with competing, it's really, coaching is a huge focus for me right now. So just making sure I'm getting my athletes good. A lot of people come for the spring shows, so that's really important. A lot of them train here, which is great. So I get to see them in person. Outside of that, with my own goals, we might be looking at a pro show in 2024.
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure? Stay calm. Wait. Everybody calm down.
I got to focus on just getting big. So it's just the execution of the day-to-day, which matters a little bit more right now, rather than trying to like map out this crazy long timeline, arbitrary timeline that something might get in the way of, right? So the good thing is I can pick my shows now. I don't have to rush into anything and kind of set a date right away. So anyways, we'll save all that talk for later. Let's go ahead and get into a back day. So first movement we got on the docket, we got straight arm pull downs, or a pullover, whatever you want to call it. I'm still a big fan of this movement. I like to use this either in the beginning or at the end. It's one of those movements where you can really kind of get a good mind-muscle connection. Obviously, there's a stability component to it and making sure you're staying in alignment with the cable. But it's one of those ones you can fire up your lats right away. Lats are probably the biggest muscle group that I want to focus on almost no matter what. I tend to put a lot of my programming towards lats just because, especially from a bodybuilding standpoint, it's what's really going to give you that structure on stage. So you have these. You're going to do just 2 working sets. So I do 1 to kind of just feel it out. Then I'll do 2 somewhere. I usually do a bit higher reps here, so somewhere within like the 12 to 20 range. I make it to like a 10 rep set if I'm feeling crazy. Probably just 12 to 20 today.
Jeez, it's a good first set.
Yeah, so actually, might go short form. Oh, we'll do it normal for you too.
Yeah.
So one thing that I'm really trying to think about when it comes to straight arm pull downs and any lat movement really is not letting my shoulder elevate. So as soon as this is like a good rule of thumb to use, as soon as we hike that shoulder up or we elevate that scap, we're going to take a lot of tension off that lat and shift it onto the muscle groups. So it's especially predominant in the stretch. So when I'm coming up to this top position here, I don't want to hike my shoulders up by my ears. I want to make sure I'm almost pulling this down in front of me. And this cable is going to follow almost an arcing motion down to my hips. So it's not going to be directly a straight line down. It's almost going to arc down and in front. In that bottom position, I think about depressing. It's almost pushing my arms all the way down to the ground and making sure I'm shortening that lat all the way in the bottom. Somehow 10 bands is planned at the exact same time we're setting these up, but I'm actually going to use these in a pull-up for my next movement. So I was doing a lot of single arm pull downs. I still have those in on my back and hands day, but I kind of like the idea of challenging a bit more of a lower rep range, and I do like working in pull-ups here and there throughout the year. So I use this. We're going to get a little bit more help out of the bottom, where it's going to be a little bit more difficult, and make sure to strap up as well, so I can make sure the lats feel first at the top. But these are a nice movement, and as you get stronger at them, you can kind of just slowly peel the bands off. You could start with a heavier one. We're just going to use 2 15 to 30 pound bands, so nothing too crazy, but it's enough to help you right where you need it. So similar to if I was to do like a single arm pull down, which you're seeing done a lot nowadays, same kind of plane of motion. And the big thing that I want to accompany with that is I want to keep my head back behind a little bit, so you can see I'm almost leaned back a little bit. Not so much, or else this band will snap back and probably hit me in the nuts, but just enough that I can keep that elbow in front and to make sure that the lats feel first. Always remember to use your straps on these as well too. Pull-ups are a great exercise as long as you're honestly using straps and not filling with the bicep first. So for me, I was the kid that always did pull-ups, had bigger biceps as a kid, had no back, so I need to use these to make sure I get the job done right. Okay, so next up we have a seated upper back row. So we're gonna use D handles on this. I would usually have this later in the workout. We got somebody on the machine that we want to use. Honestly, at this point, for back, I'm not too worried about which exercise comes first or last. Like, there's a general stance that I'll follow, but to switch one in and out based on like time, it's not a big deal for me. Also, I'm warm at this point because of these engaged crops, these engaged feathers. So go ahead and grab yours. They're Code Rowan. These are 100% cotton. They're almost a little too warm though. So I'm gonna take mine off now because the pump is on. The pump's on. So with this one, any upper back row, especially on a cable, like for whenever you're doing a seated row on a cable for upper back, you want to stay leaned back a little bit. So I don't want to let this cable pull me in. So I'm not gonna do this row and come all the way forward like this. You may think that that's rounding a little bit more, but you're gonna round through like your mid to low back if anything. So I want to keep my chest up, and I can round my shoulder blades as I reach, but I don't necessarily want to let my lower back round to have the cable pull me in. I kind of want to anchor myself against that so I can load that stretch properly, and then I can just shorten it all the way by riding that same plane all the way through. So this movement's a little bit more rhomboid focused, so you can really target those rhomboids really well, which are kind of right between the shoulder blades. Just make sure you're driving that elbow as far back behind the body as you can, and you're probably going to finish more of like a neutral grip rather than overhand. So I like to start overhand, and then as I get to the back, I'll rotate a bit more to neutral, squeeze it all the way down the back, and reach. Okay, so we're 3 movements in. 4th movement that we have here today, I would usually have a 3rd, but this is a really nice upper back focused row. So I like to set this up on a hammer low row machine. One of the reasons for that is because I have the chest support. So because of the chest support, I can actually load that length and range of my upper back and actually reach around it. So I don't want to reach over it because once again, I don't want to have that shoulder elevate too much, even though we're targeting more upper back. I kind of want to utilize this gap of being able to stretch it around the pad. So I'm going to off rack like so, almost treating it like a dumbbell row. So in the middle of the grip, I'm still going to brace with hard with my right foot. I'm going to reach, and then I'm going to let my chest come off the pad just a little bit as I kind of tuck this up into my body. Yeah, we might not go to 4 today. Maybe just under 4, but moving this a bit later kind of took away from my strength a bit on this, but that's all right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, we're a little rote at this point, but we still got work to do. So we're gonna do a lat focused row now. So if you kind of go through like the order of operations, warmed up the lats, we did a lat focused vertical pull. Then we moved on to more of a shortened range upper back movement, moved on to more of a lengthened range upper back movement. Now we're kind of tucking in things in with a lat row. After this, like a lot of the same concepts that I mentioned with the other lat movements, we want to apply with this as well too. So I'm really there's multiple ways you can use this machine. See a lot of people kind of sit onto the front like this. That's great. For me, I find it's the best when I come back off the pad a little bit. So the resistance profile matters with machines like this because they're actually going to get lighter when it starts coming back. So it's going to be its heaviest where I'm strongest, and then it falls off a lot back here, right? So because of that, I want to make sure that I'm lining things up. I have pretty long arms, right? So I want to keep that in mind. If I was to just use the chest pad, I wouldn't even be able to load a full stretch on this, right? So if I'm trying to do a lat focus now, I want to be able to cross brace. So I want to be able to press into this pad here. And then I also want to have enough range within my setup where I'm reaching and I can load a stretch position within that lat. In terms of where I'm going to come back, as far as I'm going to come back, it's going to finish mostly around the hip. Okay, guys, that's it. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Obviously, we went through a good back workout, a bit of just a couple adjustments that I've made through my previous training. In terms of what's next to come, there's a lot to look forward to. So right now, it's a little boring. I find around like December, November, January, end of the year, start of the new year, I deloaded actually for the first time like last week. So it's kind of crazy. I like have never deloaded pretty much before. So it was a new eye-opening experience. But all I did was kind of pull some volume back. It's a good time to health phase as well too. So me and my coach are kind of just taking a bit of a step back from, any kind of crazy supplementation or anything like that. Just obviously getting blood work done, prioritizing our internal health, which everybody should do at least once or twice a year. We say 3 times a year, just to make sure everything's running optimally and the body's working efficiently. Aside from that, there's going to be a lot of exciting things coming up in the new year, guys. So I hope you enjoy the holiday season. Take care, like, comment, subscribe for more. Stay tuned for a new video coming. What are we going to do it? Probably 2 weeks from now. Yeah, start of the new year. Peace, guys.